So what is chronic inflammatory response syndrome? Here's just a good general definition of it. I give lots of credit to Dr. Shoemaker for the fact that he's the one who originally came up with the diagnostic criteria and things like that. I'll also tell you things have moved along quite a long ways since that time frame. If you're really looking for good information on chronic inflammatory response syndrome and the treatments, particularly for the types of patients that see you guys in this room, here's the key. Shoemaker's protocol, I found, worked really well for people who had mold exposure and nothing else. If they had Lyme, if they had Epstein-Barr, any type of autoimmune diagnosis, they had troubles with compliance with Shoemaker's protocol. Do not set these patients up for failure because they will get very discouraged, and they'll be very discouraging to you as well. The answer for the sensitive patients is never to put them into a protocol or anything else that even starts this resemblance of a Hertz response. The moment this patient starts to Hertz, you've just lost ground. So you're working constantly to support this patient. So the phrase that I always use for them is, therefore choose life. Before you think about starting to try to correct and kill and do all that sort of stuff, other than maybe one round of antifungals right at the very start, you really want to be supporting them. A lot of that support is often best found through energetic-based medicine. That could be homeopathic, that could be some of the structural energy type things that we've been studying here. That can be using your PEMF systems. All of those things can be very, very helpful to them. Okay? But here's the other thing that you need to understand. This is not an acute illness. And you can remove them from exposure, and they'll look totally healthy. They'll start to recover on their own. But as you move down the line, they'll get hit again. And they'll drop again on you like a rock, over and over and over again, until you finally get the mycotoxins out of their system. Now the wonderful thing is, you can test now to get those mycotoxins out of the system and get a really good sight on some of those types of things. How many of you here have seen this biotoxin pathway slide before? It's a pretty famous slide. Just a couple. Okay. Good news is, this slide is in your deck. I'm not going to go through it in much detail today at all, so I am going to tell you though, go take a look at it. The pathway is super critical. Okay. Search diagnostic criteria using a system cluster analysis. This is compliments of Dr. Jill Carnahan and her work. She has done some amazing yeoman's work. She figured out that she had a toxic mold exposure in Boulder, Colorado due to a flood underneath her office. Now the blessing is, it was her office. So what's the good news? The good news is she got to go home at night and sleep in an environment that wasn't filled with mold. So she actually was getting some restoration work because she was able to at least go home and sleep in a good environment. For most of these patients, that's not the case. For most of them, when they go home, which should be their place of rest, their place of safety, they're actually walking into a toxic zone. And the really hard part about it is I always talk about SIRS being like the frog that's slowly boiling in water. You put the frog in the water when the water's not boiling, you just keep turning up the heat. Pretty soon the water's boiling and the frog's not smart enough to jump out. In fact, mold patients can be some of the hardest people to get out of their homes, particularly the men. For whatever reason, it seems like it's always my male clients. They either want to do battle with the mold once they do find it, they're going to win, or they deny that there's any issue there at all, and they just want to hunker down, and they just want to stay in that place.